special edition of Education Matters. With me today is Christine Girtain. She is the New Jersey State Teacher of the Year from the District of Toms River. Welcome, Christine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. It's always a good pleasure to be talking to the Teacher of the Year. Tell us first, for people who are from other parts of New Jersey who are not familiar with Toms River, you have two high schools. Just a little bit about the Toms River high schools.
Sure. So I teach at two of the three high schools in Toms River. It's a suburban district that is located at the Jersey Shore, so we grew up at the beach. I went through that district K through 12, and then I went to TCNJ for college, and then back to teaching in Toms River. I've been at Toms River High School South for 28 years, and then I've been at North as well for the last 6 or 7 years.
Okay, so you're really ingrained in that community.
Yeah, I love Toms River. I love living there. I love
We can
the people
tell.
there.
But for people who don't know, it's a process to become the New Jersey State Teacher of the Year. First, you're the District Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
And then you become County Teacher of the Year. How did you feel at those two levels when you got those two awards?
It was pretty exciting. They came and surprised me. I was in teaching at High School South, and they came in with flowers, and the county, superintendent came in with my superintendent and assistant superintendent. And my kids, we weren't allowed to tell anybody, right? So that's the part that, it's a big secret until it's officially announced. So we had to, tell the students not to say anything because they were like, why do you have all these flowers? What's going on? So that was exciting. And then the same thing, they came into High School South, and the commissioner came in and got to speak with the students, so that was pretty exciting as well.
Now, how did you feel? I mean, because there's a lot of great teachers out there. I mean, a lot. So to be singled out, you must feel honored, humbled?
And I'm in a great cohort of teachers. They're amazing. We had a chance for all the county teachers of the year to get together and each share a small lightning lesson, and just hearing and being able to be taught by those other teachers in those small lessons really made me appreciate the group of people that I'm selected with and realize, what great educators I'm amongst.
Okay, I want to get into some of the programs that you do, but why did you get into teaching in the first place? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, I think I always wanted to be a teacher. So many of my family, we joke it's the family business. My cousin was a teacher, and then assistant principal, and then a superintendent in Stafford. My brother Paul is a history teacher at High School North. My other cousin worked as a social worker in the school and now has her own family therapy business, and then the other side of my family is all police officers. So I feel like, the family is in jobs where they're doing service, right, for others.
Why do you stay in teaching? You've been doing it 28 years now?
Yeah, my husband.
I mean, it's one thing to start into a career, but what keeps you going as a teacher?
He always jokes because they'll say, oh, your wife's getting ready to go back to school. Is she dreading going back to school? And he's like, oh, no, she loves her job. She's super excited. She can't wait to get back in there. And I love the kids that I teach. I love seeing them get really excited about things that I've been able to bring to them as far as different opportunities with biotech or genetics or, anything with the social sciences as well. And those, aha moments where the student really realizes what's happened or the opportunity they had and how that's going to help them in the future, or maybe puts them in a direction that they didn't even know existed before, those are really powerful moments of opening doors of opportunity. And that excites me. I like to learn, and being able to find things to bring as opportunities for the students increases my own knowledge, which is pretty exciting. I always joke that I'm addicted to learning. So,
your official title is Director of Authentic Science Research. I don't know too many teachers with that title. Could you explain what that is and what that means in the classroom?
Sure. So we're in a program with the University of Albany through a program called University in the High Schools program. Before any of the county colleges in New Jersey were having partnerships with schools to do dual enrollment, we started about 17 years ago with SUNY Albany, and the students can earn up to 12 college credits through SUNY Albany for the 3-year research class I teach. So I teach a 3-year science research class at 2 of the 3 high schools in Toms River, and then Dr. Mary Beth Kretz teaches the research class at the 3rd high school. The students get to pick whatever topic they'd like to do. So I have 45 students that I manage across 45 different topics. And each one of them teaches me something new. So when I sit with them and guide them into the directions that they, might want to explore, then I'm able to, lead them to journal articles that they didn't know how to find and teach them how to analyze and dissect those journal articles so that then they can think about what scientific question they want to ask and then pursue their own research.
Now you said Tom's River, and I think of the same thing. When I think of Tom's River, I think of the ocean, the beach.
Boardwalk and seaside.
And you know what? Cornfields and dairy farms do not come to mind. I apologize to anyone in Tom's River about that, but that's not the first thing that comes. But talk about Nurse, the future, because I think that shows an example of you always learning, because that's not something that you learned in college.
Right. So we spoke earlier, and I have different partnerships. So I was working at the time with the Bordenstein Lab out of Vanderbilt, and they asked me to come present in Chicago at the National Association of Biology Teachers. And I was able to go through the vendor booths, and one of those vendor booths was a group called Nourish the Future that is run by a group of educators called Education Projects. And they were funded at the time by the National Corn Growers Association and now are also partnering with the American Soybean Board. So that group looks to take regular teachers like me, that I was born in Brooklyn, I grew up at the beach, right? I really am not infused with agricultural knowledge. I would have to say that I had a very high agricultural illiteracy, right? That group looks to take regular teachers like me, who are science teachers, and teach us how to infuse agricultural themes into the regular things that we are teaching. So if you're teaching genetics, don't just teach it through the lens of human disease, but also teach it through the lens of diseases in crops, diseases in livestock, so that we can protect our food and to make sure that we are working towards educating young people into the high-tech jobs that exist in agriculture, and also to make sure that we are planning for our future so that we can help mitigate food insecurity. That's definitely one of the goals of the UN's sustainability goals.
And I would think too, you're opening up something that we joked about.
Yeah.
Our background not being in that,
Yeah.
but we are the Garden State.
Yes.
But it might open up some field that a student might not even thought about before until they start studying it and say, this is interesting. It's not just for people in Nebraska and Iowa and things like that.
Yeah, I have a student who lived in an apartment. His name was Rutva, and he's now at Princeton University. And he went and did a summer program with the University of Illinois that, because of COVID, was remote, and he got to look at digital image processing. So he wanted to go to school for computer science, and that opened up a whole new world in agriculture that he didn't know existed, using computer science to analyze the digital images of crops and livestock to get data, 21st century skills about processing data and using data science to learn more about what we're doing. He said this is definitely something I could see being of interest to students and having them know that there's a whole line of work in a direction that maybe they weren't looking before.
Now, I was reading through your bio a little bit about some of the partnerships you have with the military, with Israel, and some of the things that your students are studying. Can you just briefly give us an overview of a couple of those things?
Sure. One of them is called the Wolbachia Project. I mentioned that with Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt University, their lab, the Bordenstein Lab, has now moved to Penn State. And so I work with Sarah Bordenstein and Seth Bordenstein out of that lab, and they provide a lot of support for my students and reagents to use to extract DNA from insects to look for the prevalence of a bacteria called Wolbachia that has been shown to stop the spread of dengue and Zika in mosquitoes. So if a mosquito is infected and they carry dengue and Zika, when they bite a human, they don't pass on that disease anymore if they have that bacterium. So that's pretty interesting and novel genetics research that the students are doing.
Wait, your students are doing that?
So my students are doing that. They're extracting DNA from insects, and we partner with a school in Israel. I did some biotech training through UMass Amherst and Mass BioEd, And I met a teacher there who was also doing the training from Israel. Her name is Dr. Pirki Waxman, and now we're really good friends. And our students pair together. We're actually meeting on Sunday. So our students in the morning will Zoom with the students in Israel who are actually at school at the time, because they go to school Sunday through Thursday, and they're off Friday and Saturday. Okay. So the kids get to learn about a different culture, and they also get to learn about genetics, that, things that they didn't know before. So they do DNA extraction, and then they work together as a team, and they present their findings to a panel of scientists from Switzerland, Israel, and the United States. So that experience in itself, working in global partnerships with other students that don't have English as a second that have English as a second language and don't speak English as their first language, those are all things that are happening in society now. If you're working in big business, you have partners that are in different countries. You need to know how to work with people that have different cultures and also are in different time zones. So those are really good skills for those students to be learning at an early age. I work with the Army through Camp Invention. So the Inventors Hall of Fame is sponsored, and it's what's called an Army Education Outreach Program. So I use that as the baseline of the STEM pipeline that I'm building for students, so that the students get to know me and I can tell them about programs that will be available to them as they get older. And maybe they're a little more likely to take those programs because they have a relationship with me and some of the other teachers, and then also my research students, because they work with the elementary school students, mentoring them for their STEM experience for that camp. And then in middle school, I've partnered with Cold Spring Harbor Labs out in Long Island, and they've sent me scientists to train my teachers and myself on how to do more DNA and genetics work and also enzyme work, so that we run those camps for middle school and high school students. And we had 12 students get published for DNA sequences that they extracted during that process. So it's been an exciting ride, I'd say, the past 6 years trying to build that vision, and I'd really like to make more partners with industry in New Jersey to be able to take that STEM pipeline from K all the way through industry, so that we can partner together to get them the people that they want in the jobs, having the knowledge base and the education that they want for those positions in Jersey.
I have to say, I'm really impressed. In fact, I feel like signing up for a couple of your classes. I think I would learn a lot. So congratulations on being New Jersey State Teacher of the Year. It was a great choice. So I hope you enjoyed this interview with Christine Girtain from Toms River. Well deserved as Teacher of the Year.